think that idea of felicitous inconsistency is important, especially when we're talking about this idea of limited atonement.
Yeah.
Right. So, because there are, and this is a point that, I've heard in response to this, as I've gotten tons of messages after the CP2, and it's like asking me what I think about, almost every line there, And so the thing that people have brought up is, but as Reformed people, we do point to the work of Christ for assurance. We don't just point inward. Especially a lot of my Presbyterian friends have done this. But I think even in that place, we do have to acknowledge that there's a breadth of perspectives in the broader Calvinist world. Like, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
And almost anything you say, Calvinists believe this, there's going to be a group that says, no, we don't. So that's just always going to be the case. But what they've brought up is we do point to Christ. We do point to his atonement for assurance. We do point to the sacraments. But I think limited atonement really makes that impossible. And just logically, because limited atonement says Christ only died for the elect, in whatever way you want to parse that out, and people will debate exactly what that means and how it works. But if Christ only died for the elect, if that was the true intention of his cross, then anytime you're looking to the objective work of Christ for assurance, you have that nagging question of, how do I know it's for me? Because it was only for the elect. And if that's the case, you really have no choice but to look inward, because you're left with this series of questions, which is, I look for my assurance in Christ, but how do I know that Christ died for me? Well, if I'm elect, how do I know I'm elect? If I have faith, how do I know my faith is genuine? By my fruits. How do I know my fruits are genuine and not just like hypocritical fruits? By my affections. Yeah. And I think that's just the logical necessity. That's where it has to go. Yeah. So you're ultimately left in this place of, if you want to know if you're saved or if Christ died for you, the foundation in some way, I think logically has to be, I'm looking inward. Yeah. Because it's only by my inward affections that I really know that Christ died for me, and therefore I can look to him. But there is that felicitous inconsistency, which is, they're not all consistently doing this. Yeah. I mean, I've heard plenty of preaching in Reformed churches that's very, clear on the gospel and very clear on assurance in Christ and what he's done. Mm-hmm. But I think that's ultimately an inconsistency with limited atonement. And that really is a root of a lot of those issues.
Yeah, totally agree.